Today is Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 41, Week 12.
This episode was titled Truth Kamikaze, and we got that from Xander as he was going up to vote a second time.
Yeah. I wonder if there was a lot more they didn't show, though. I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Certainly there was.
It didn't seem to be enough that he said that we got shown that would make that appropriate.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pick up with our recap here.
All right.
We're back at Camp Viakana, and it's night 21. Danny says we got a few things to figure out after Liana was just voted out.
Before they can move forward.
Deshawn says Liana's gone, and I got emotional, but I forget who he was talking to. Do you remember? He said, "I don't blame you guys. I'm okay." Maybe it was just the group of them there.
Yeah, and he told them that, he just wants everyone to play their game. Don't let anything else interfere. Just, I'm fine.
Words to live by. That might be relevant at some point going forward. Everyone play their game. Xander complimented him and just said, "Man, you spoke so beautifully," and so that was nice.
I think everybody left really is playing their own game.
Yes, yeah, no doubt. For sure they are. So we basically get to relive some of the vote out, the emotional tribal moments, and with Deshawn, and then the do or die experience that he had. And I don't think I mentioned it in the recap, but I had read, it must have been on the Survivor subreddit. Someone said, "Hey, is Probst actually giving him a hint or something?" And so we went back and watched it. And when Probst says the fire that saves him, he gestures with his right hand, which is basically above the box that had the fire in it. And then he says when they're two skulls, and he actually, with his left hand, points down like with a backward peace sign, and when he says the two skulls. So I wonder if that played any part in Deshawn's gut reaction. I'm not saying he was trying to help him.
No.
But there was visible indicators that he may have even subconsciously done.
If he did that, I think it was totally subconscious. But he was literally talking with his hands.
Yep.
Which a lot of us do.
And he essentially pointed at where the fire was and where the two skulls were.
Well, he pointed out, and, they just happened to be right under him. And they did happen to be on that side.
Yes.
So
go back and watch that if you hadn't already seen a discussion of that.
It was kind of funny, but I didn't think there was anything untoward about it.
So we revisit the do or die and Deshawn's do moment, and they're having a discussion about that. And says, "We'll figure it out."
Okay, so Danny says, "I trusted Xander."
That's funny. Xander trusted you just a while back there, Danny, and you didn't deliver on that part when you voted Evie out. So
he's like, "But he lied to me."
These moments always happen, right? And like you said, they're playing their own game. It's all subjective.
Yep.
Every one of them is the main character in the story as far as they're concerned. So they were wrong.
Had a reason for what they did, and Danny couldn't get past. It's crazy not to vote Ricard out.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that.
There is total truth in that, in my opinion, and everybody knew it. He was the biggest threat, but they had another agenda.
Yeah, you could tell it's eating on Danny. So he's talking about it with Deshawn, and then you see him later talking on the beach with Xander. He's like, it's like we decided to play kickball instead of taking Tom Brady out in the game there. the pass on the vote to get Ricard out. And I thought Xander did a good job explaining, well, it was important for me to have a shield for another round.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Whether that ends up being a good play or not, that was his reason.
I don't think it was a good play, but and it might come back to bite him, but it might not. He probably thinks, well, I can beat him. I've beat him. I can beat him. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty big. He's won a lot of them now, and so that's pretty big if. But he did have a reason, and you got to at least respect that. Okay, he thought about it, and he wanted to keep him at least one more week as a shield, and then
Check.
he
worked.
could use his idol right to the Final Four. Bam, he's Final Four. So, okay, I get that. That was a plan.
What'd you think about that exchange between Deshawn and Heather?
I thought it was good. I thought he was trying to explain things again with her, and
I like that they were digging into it a little deeper and helping out. You can tell that she's making the effort to understand.
yes,
And I felt like Heather before in my life, where I didn't see these things until somebody pointed it out, and it framed it in a different way, or some of it was just the accumulation over time and the realization that things are different, and that's what that means from that perspective. So I appreciate them sharing that and showing what her process is like while she's understanding and taking in this new information.
and that Deshawn is explaining that, hey, I said I was okay, but I wasn't. But I said I was okay. So that's one. Well, you can't see it if someone's telling you you're okay and you're taking them at face value.
Yep.
And he hadn't necessarily admitted to himself, I'm not okay.
Right. Yep.
Now, Erika tells us she has her own guilt for voting out Liana.
Yeah, it's another good discussion with Deshawn and Erika, huh?
Yeah, and this is the first time we'd heard her say that she wanted to see a woman win, but she thought everybody was wanting that. Everybody wants a woman to win this season. And I thought, okay.
So she was carrying some of that pressure from a gender
I guess
perspective,
so.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she was sharing.
And maybe that's one reason that she feels a need not to take Heather. If they want a woman, if the jury wants a woman, and she's the only one left, that makes her job a little easier at Final Tribal.
Potentially, yeah.
So, but if Heather goes, though I find it hard to believe, I don't know, because we haven't seen enough of Heather's game. We have in the last couple weeks, we've seen that she is making some decisions on her own and all that, but we haven't seen enough. I don't think she could win, but we could be wrong because we might not have seen what the jury's seen.
That's true. Yeah. And I liked what Erika said. That's something that we've heard from people. It's not something that we always, sometimes people share it and it's not for use on the listener feedback show, but that idea of how significant it can be to see people that look like you, that you feel represent you, being heroes in the context of the game, and how just seeing them there and succeeding, or the representation can be so pivotal and important for you,
And that it's
one of
important
those-
in life in general.
Exactly. Yep. I just think that Survivor's one of those places where that kind of thing has been brought to my attention, learning it clearly from the experience here. There's several things like that. I used to only think of the game from the perspective of survival skills.
True.
And, before keying into the significance, the
As
primary
you were going off into the desert to learn skills.
The primary significance being that was just like an interest that bloomed in that direction, and I pursued it.
That is a personal experience, and
Yeah.
that is what we tend to base things on, or our own personal
Yep.
experience.
Yep. We see things through our own lens, our own branch in
At
the
least
tree.
first, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we go to the reward challenge?
Yeah. Good physical
Ooh.
challenge this late in the game.
They give them a choice of chicken and veggies or sugar, basically.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I know what they should probably do.
What did you think of Deshawn's play?
That was interesting.
Uh huh.
And what I liked most
Pro's response.
was Pope's response.
Yeah.
He's like, geez, we thought we were going to give them an option. They can choose this or this, but of course they want something else. They must have been complaining a lot that they don't show
I would imagine
by
they
what
were.
he was saying.
Yeah.
That they've complained a lot at every time they
Where's
get
the
together.
food,
Jeff,
Probst?
what
Where's the
what are you
food?"
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
He shows up with food, and Deshawn's like, "Where's the letters from home, man?" Isn't this the point, relatively speaking, when we would have some
We would get
connection
some
to
letters
home?
or something, Jeff.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, they should have at least the ones that went to the reward should have got letters or something, right? Come on. But okay, they didn't, and that was that. Okay, the two tribes, Deshawn,
Two teams.
Xander,
Yep.
and Erika versus Danny, Heather, and Ricard.
So first they have to dive off a high platform and then swim down and pull a lever to release the buoys, and then each of the three who come through get a buoy of their specific team color that they got to get into the basket on a floating platform that's waiting for them.
They were really pretty neck and neck all the way to they got to the platform.
Yep.
And I thought Deshawn was so gassed that he wasn't going to be able to do anything. He did bounce back.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
So-
he did look worn out by the time he got there.
He
Climbed up
totally
the ladder.
did. Yeah. I thought, wow, he's lost an awful lot of weight too. I was looking at him when he was standing there talking to Jeff about the letter. I thought, you need food, honey. It's like, you really need food. And I thought, he's really lost a significant amount, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
So, even
So-
Liana lost, what, 16, 18 pounds or something.
Right. Danny and Deshawn start shooting once they got everybody there to the platform. Like you said, it was pretty even there.
So, why did they not have those nets anchored in the water somehow? Why did one
Well, they were
start
tethered.
drifting away?
Okay, I didn't really see that. I saw the ball drifting away. But
I thought it was
But the platforms were tethered. They weren't just floating on the surface.
Well, I thought one started to go out away a little.
Certainly, it makes it trickier to hit a moving target like that. Deshawn got a basket in, and Danny was trying, and then he finally swapped out with Ricard. And when he swapped with Ricard, Heather came back in because Ricard and Heather were doing retrieval, getting the balls that bounced out where Danny had missed. And evidently, Heather was tired. That's what Probe seemed to be guessing at.
That's exhausting. Swimming and
treading,
retrieving and trying to swim back and throw it. Oh yeah, that's very exhausting.
Okay.
I wouldn't last
think it's
long.
all relative.
You love the water, you fish.
Yeah.
I'm the Pisces here. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that made it a little more difficult for Danny or Ricard to get shots off because he had to wait on Danny to retrieve it, especially when one of them was floating away. But Deshawn just turned it on and sunk the three baskets that they needed.
So good job, Deshawn. So he did do well in a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't happen to be a immunity challenge. So.
Yep.
Okay, what'd you think about the grilled chicken and broccoli? It didn't look like it was cooked or anything. It's probably just raw broccoli. I thought they'd have more choices for veggies, not just a veggie.
Yeah.
They did say veggies.
Now, admittedly, when we were watching, it was skipping a little, so we might have missed a few bites here and there.
Yeah.
But we just saw broccoli.
Yeah, if we miss
chicken.
anything, let us know, because we did miss tiny little snippets when it went. We had a...
For whatever reason, it was...
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
the
wigging
PC
out a
was
little
acting
bit.
up. Yeah.
Okay. So, Deshawn wants
To answer your question, that's great. The protein and the veggies, I think those are really good for them, assuming their bodies are in a position to take advantage of it.
Well,
Xander
yeah,
assures us for him it's like candy. So
Yeah. Well, no, I thought that was great food, and I like both. But I just was surprised they didn't have more veggies. Since they said veggies, I don't think of veggies being one vegetable.
right, why make it tougher?
Like, why just broccoli?
I liked Erika's
Some
comment too.
tomatoes or something.
Did you hear what she said?
What?
Thank you, rocks. she finally got on a winning team.
Oh,
Pulling
yeah.
rocks paid off, and she got on a team so that she could get some food.
Yep, and they start talking about getting out Ricard. And they all seem to be on the same page, even Xander and Erika. They're like, okay, we're ready now.
And
I'm like,
that they could be sitting together at Final Three. That seemed to be
Yeah.
the talk.
That would be interesting. I'm not sure. I don't know how the votes would go with those three. I really don't. I'd have to think
I think
on that.
Erika wins. You know
I
why?
think so.
Yeah, because the Yase women are mad still at Xander because he beat them. and Shan and Liana
Or they give
are
it to him because
mad,
he's Yase.
mad at Deshawn. So then
Yeah.
basically Erika gets all the votes.
But I don't know that people typically liked Erika during the
She's
season.
still there.
She is still there. But
Like
they
or
would all-
not,
yeah.
she's doing something right.
Well, yeah. So, like I said, I would really have to ponder that one.
Speaking of doing something, cut back to camp. Danny heads out on a hidden immunity idol search. He's just sure because Shan got voted out with hers that there's one out there waiting on him.
Well, there was something, but
There's
again,
definitely something, yeah.
he didn't see it. I wonder how he felt tonight when he saw how close he was. So, I would have liked to.
Heather notices that Danny must have been gone a little extra long, longer than they expected.
Oh yeah, they both noticed.
And Ricard's just sure that when he came back that he had something because his vibe had shifted.
He was smiling. How you're smiling? Why are you smiling?
And humming, he said.
Where have you been? Oh, that's funny. Well, he for sure thinks Danny found the idol. It didn't work in the end.
I think
but-
Ricard convinced Heather because she also said that Danny had more pep in his step.
Yep. So, for future Survivor players, fake it till you make it. Okay.
It was a very pretty sunrise.
Oh, that was gorgeous.
Yep.
I'm glad they showed us that.
Mm-hmm.
So Deshawn goes to get water with Erika and says, hey, I was really serious about what I said yesterday. And he's trying to get Erika to say something about Heather that he could use.
Yeah.
You can tell that's what he was trying to,
It seemed to be.
but with him asking probing questions.
Well, and Erika owned it. She said, yeah, it's hard to separate us, I guess, looking at it. Hard to see what we did individually versus our together accomplishments and being there.
And Deshawn doesn't know if the information will be valuable, but he's memorizing it so in case he needs it, he'll pull it out. Okay, on to day 23, the immunity challenge.
These are always fun if you like goofy things where the castaways can end up falling down during the challenge.
Yeah, if you
So they
want.
got to step inside a spool of rope and then unspool the rope out. And then there's a balance beam, and halfway across the balance beam there's a puzzle piece
Well,
that you have to stoop down and untie.
You spin me like that, and that's not going to be a pleasant time.
I got to think it's the dancing experience that seems to be what we're attributing a lot of Ricard's ability to, but it did not faze him at all. He just breezed right through.
That's not true. When he was
On the balance
unwinding
beam.
on the balance beam, yes.
Yeah.
On the unwinding the rope, no, he fell onto the net. Because I thought, I
That could have
wonder.
just as easily been the net, though, because that's not stable under your feet.
Well, he seemed to not be that stable. But my thought was, I thought that being a dancer might help him with those spins because a dancer would know how
Knows how
to
to pick a point and focus.
focus on, have a visual eye point to focus on that each time you spin, and it's supposed to help balance you. Never really worked for me much, but yeah.
When
but
he
I
got to
do
the
think
balance beam, though, he breezed
Oh,
across
yeah,
it like
yeah.
no one did it as effortlessly as he did.
That's why I didn't choose him to go home. I was just, once I saw the challenge was the balance and the puzzle, I thought, oh, he's good at both. He's going to win that. I just didn't think anybody else was as good in that kind of thing.
So it's a fun puzzle, stacking words, 7 words, a 7-word phrase, and it stacks up. So you got to build it from the bottom up.
Yeah, that's not an easy one. It was
And
a good one, but I didn't think that would be an easy one to do.
It was fairly close at the end between Deshawn and Ricard. Deshawn was two rows away, but Ricard
yeah, but
actually beat him there right at the
there's
end.
no way he could have won, though, because part of the time it looked like he was looking at Ricard's puzzle.
That did actually look like it helped him. He
Get
looked
started.
at it. It helped him in like the halfway point, and I
Yeah.
think that's why he was able to catch up so much. But when he got up to the top, it was a little tricky to work that out because you actually had to work across 3 rows to finish the last 2 rows to get that.
Yeah, and
pan out
Ricard was
right.
always a step or two ahead of him. So if you're looking at somebody's puzzle, to kind of help
Yeah, but
you.
he wasn't looking
It
the whole
doesn't
time.
help you
I
in
know,
the end.
understand what your point is, but I think it actually did help Deshawn get over a hump, and he was closing the gap,
Absolutely.
but it wasn't enough.
That's not in question. What I'm saying is, if you're looking to someone's puzzle to beat them, you're not going to do it because you're always going to be a
I have
couple steps
I have a
behind.
question. Do you
Yes,
really
darling.
think Ricard was thinking of 4-letter words as he was unspooling himself in the rope like he told Probst was, which was why he was able to solve it so fast?
I
That he
don't
had thought of
know
all the
why.
possible 4-letter words that could be in the
Well, I
puzzle.
doubt he could have thought of all of them, but I don't know. He said he did. I have no reason to doubt that. Or why would he say it otherwise?
I don't know why
It
you would puff
makes
yourself
no
up
sense.
like that if it wasn't true, but it just seemed like an odd thing to say. Because if you were, do you really want that out there to seem like an even bigger threat?
I don't think he could look like any bigger threat.
Probably not.
He knows that. They know he's a threat. And so why wouldn't he puff himself up if he wants recognition on television
And if
or
His
whatever?
his explanation wasn't enough. Probst took him even further, declaring that he was now in an elite club with 3 immunity wins,
Oh, well,
and that
that's
he had solved that super quickly, quicker than they had
we
anticipated.
may see him again then. Because when Probst does that, they usually show back up on another season. So
Erika is lamenting. She's telling us they had no plan B in her quick confessional after the challenge there. Okay, back at camp on day 23. It's Danny's having an "I told you so" moment. How did they
Yep.
not see this?
of course you missed Erika telling us, oh goodness, we've got to go for a plan B now. So Danny tells Deshawn they are absolutely coming after us.
Yep.
And he's hoping it's good that Ricard thinks he has an idol.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Danny and Deshawn, agreed that, okay, yeah, well, we might as well just vote for the other one so we didn't they didn't try to do a 3-way tie. It wouldn't work out in the end anyway.
Yeah, I guess not.
So why bother?
He had Ricard worried enough that Ricard chose to search Danny's bag while he and Erika were there in camp and Danny was away.
Oh, did he actually look in it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed that part. I knew he was talking about it.
He looked in it and he said, well, I guess he would have hit it. There's nothing in here, but
Oh,
if he
yeah,
had it, he would have hit
I
it.
guess he would have hit it.
It was a good strategic discussion there between Xander and Heather where they were going back and forth trying to decide who to vote for. Xander was saying Danny's at least beat Ricard before, and Heather was saying, well, Deshawn was really close.
In the
So,
puzzle, but
yeah.
Xander didn't realize that.
Didn't seem to.
And then Heather and Erika have their get together, and they'd like to keep Deshawn, even though the bigger threat. They think he's a bigger threat than Danny, but Danny could beat them in challenges. So the underlying thing there is Erica's kind of guiding that conversation to what is best for her, which is to keep Deshawn because he had said he'd work with her. So
Yeah. For her and Xander and Deshawn to be final 3.
yeah, and we know that she's not wanting to take Heather. So
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too because you get to see her have that discussion, roughly the same discussion with Ricard for why to focus on Danny. Mm-hmm. And Ricard's thinking that Deshawn's the bigger threat, But then when you see the result, it's good to look at in hindsight.
Erika got her way this time. So Danny finally tells Deshawn that he played for the Cowboys and the Bears.
Yep.
So, since he said one of us is going home, so I might as well tell you this. You think he thought he might find out before he could tell him or something and
No.
feel like he didn't share, or he just wanted to share?
Yeah, he'd been holding that secret for 23 days, so it was eating him up. He wanted to tell someone.
Yeah, I
In
like
this case, his
I
little
did pretty
brother,
good.
Deshawn.
I think I did pretty good keeping
Yeah.
it hid.
Yeah, Deshawn
It's
thought
like,
he did
yeah,
too.
you did. But Deshawn is trying very hard to work with Heather and Erika, but he tells us he doesn't trust them. But he's trying to get points wherever he can, and that is how you play the game.
Yeah, certainly if you think back into the early game, Deshawn actually targeted Erika when they were throwing that challenge. So I don't know how aware of that she is.
I don't think she is. Because she did not forget that Liana wrote her name down once upon a time.
Yep.
When it came down to it, that was the deciding factor, according to her, for either Liana or Ricard. So it's like...
Well, speaking of that, let's go to Tribal Council.
Tribal Council.
Deshawn evidently cracked Probst up because he came in grinning from ear to ear. Oh, just before that, I noticed Shan was doing the stink face again.
Yep, you mentioned that. So, Deshawn does smile a lot, though, really. And, but I believe he 100% thought he was the one going.
Yeah, definitely, because that one part, you just pointed it out when we were rewatching it. He reached for his bag. Right?
Oh, yeah. When he started to read the votes, and he just reached down and grabbed had his bag in his hand. So
I liked Ricard's answer to Probst. He said, well, I don't want to give anything away. But they voted for me last time, so.
yeah, I liked it when Ricard talked about what a good day they had, and Probst asked him, well, can you have a good time with somebody today and then vote them out tonight? And Deshawn's nodding his head, yes. And Ricard, I like the way he's just out there and usually, yes, I can.
They voted for me last time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I thought I
What'd
do
you-
admire that.
What'd you think about Deshawn saying that he thought everyone was asinine to leave Ricard in the game? Choosing to say it that way.
I don't know the point of that.
Yeah, that seemed like a bad move, didn't it?
Yeah, but
It's true. So, okay, you know, you can have your truth and you can still come across as a jerk at the same time.
yeah,
And some of these people that you're sitting here with calling asinine are going to have to vote for you if you're there at the end.
well, here's the thing.
It's poor.
I
That's
really,
it. Poor jury management.
I really think that he was so certain they were going to vote him out that he just needed to say what he needed to say.
It was emotional again, huh?
He was
lashing
emotional.
out.
He gets very emotional.
Yeah.
He's done it.
Unlike
all season.
Ricard, he's not
Yeah.
able to manage.
Ricard's just like
Stone cold,
He is. His face, everything.
for better, for worse.
He would be so hard to read because he knows not to show anything, no matter what's asked, and he's not afraid to pause and take his time before he opens his mouth and engages.
So like Robert was saying in the listener feedback last week, those skills learned
Yes.
as a flight attendant,
Yes.
having that mask that he can bring up just like that. And so he's not giving anything away. That's probably one of those super skills.
Yeah, I'm sure in that job you would have to put your expressions.
Because you don't know where you're headed from how a discussion
you
starts.
really knew what I thought of you right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's certainly serving him well on Survivor. So, okay. Xander points out about, hey, the jury management phase of the game has started.
Yeah, and just
Yes.
before that, in response to Danny's accusation, Erika said, well, Liana was the one that voted for me, not Ricard.
Yeah.
And I've been
yeah.
working with Ricard. And then Heather says, well, that's subjective that it was the wrong move. You're not playing the game from where I am. Maybe she's doing the best she can with what she has.
Well, yeah,
Right.
and we'll see if
And-
it's a mistake or not.
Yeah.
You make the best choice you can in the moment. So
The mistake for Danny and Deshawn isn't necessarily the mistake for Heather, is it?
exactly.
She
Or
could move
Erika
on.
Or Ricard or
Yeah.
Xander. They all have their own motives and
Solid point.
reasons for. Just like Heather pointed out, that's the first time we've heard Heather say anything about, hey, it's like playing chess, and I move this move, and then I do this move, and I thought, okay, well, that's more of her game strategy than we've seen all season.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But at least we got to go, okay, she does have a plan. She is working something.
Again,
We've just
doing-
not been shown it.
Like Danny said when Probst asked him what he wanted the lasting thought to be if he was going, it was that he had
Put it all out there.
left it all out there, competed the hardest ever, and it's easy to compare what little bit we get to see of Heather's game to someone else's game and go, there's not a lot there, but she could be just like Danny, making the most, putting it all out there,
Yep.
and no different in the end. So that's possible.
And Deshawn just wants to throw some more stuff out there and tell some truths, but Jeff stops him.
Yeah, because he wants to get the reaction. How are you feeling? Yes. And that's a legitimate one, too. I liked him
Yep,
stopping
yeah.
and asking other people. Xander wasn't bothered by it at all. He was like, yeah, whatever. Say what you got to say.
Yeah, well, yeah, Erika too. She's like, well,
I think
deal
she
with
knew
it.
something was coming. I think she felt the hammer about to drop.
well, she did, but she said, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like it is what it
It's
is.
the most that she could manage. It's
Do
not
what you do.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that will come back to bite him in the long run or not, but
Ricard really laid that out clear. Interesting of you to offer these truth bombs, and maybe you just ruined it for yourself
yeah.
by trying to bomb on someone else's parade there.
Yeah, what if she's really planning to work with you and you might never know that if she, because obviously Ricard knew they weren't voting for him.
Well, he knew what the plan was, yeah.
Yeah, and yet that plan could have just changed. All she had to do was change her vote.
Again, it's Deshawn acting out on his emotions, isn't it?
Emotions.
He was striking
Yeah,
out
yeah.
by doing
Yep,
that, trying
he
to
was.
sow those seeds of dissension between Erika and Heather.
And I wonder how much of it is he wants to be viewed as having played hard, fought hard, and that's all he knew to do if he was being sent home.
Yeah, it was,
To have
he was
his
desperate
last-
to make a
Yeah,
play there
an impression.
to try to switch things up.
Yes, you did. You're very emotional.
If that's your conclusion, I get where you're coming from. You try anything, I guess.
And I hope you didn't just shoot yourself in the foot, but that too was a choice. So,
They were both, Ricard and Erika were both basically saying, "What are you doing?"
yeah, what are you doing? You don't even know if it's you. What if it's not you, Deshawn? But he was so, you could just tell he's so certain.
Yeah, so they vote and it comes up 3-3 tied, and then they do the revote where Deshawn and Danny have to sit out, and it comes
Yeah.
the votes start coming in. That's when Deshawn reached for his bag. He just knew it was him before the first vote was read.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think that last clue just before they voted was Deshawn saying, well, at least if I leave, I did something with some gumption.
Oh, where he quoted Gabby.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yes. And I
What
thought,
a nice reference for
okay.
her. Crybaby Gabby. Yeah.
But I thought, yeah, I think that clued you in a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he said. So
It was a Hail Mary desperation
Yeah.
play.
I don't even think he thought he was going to sway them one way or the other. He just was going to leave an impression of some kind if he's out. And he thought he was. So,
So we get the second round of votes come back, and it's Danny. Danny's out. I was really sad because
I was too. I like Danny.
I've enjoyed watching him through the whole season. So,
Even Tiffany said, I didn't want to see him go.
yeah, I agree with Tiffany. Yeah,
was
I didn't want to
like,
see Danny go either. I had more fun watching him, I think, than I did watching Deshawn.
Yeah. Though, if he didn't, he probably would have been next. But still, I really, it's going to be interesting though to see if Deshawn really did shoot himself in the foot, and that nobody's going to want to work with him, or if he'll be able to talk somebody.
I think what he
back
did was he
around.
turned himself into a goat, and he had been sort of toying with this, but I think he's made himself into a goat at this point.
Yeah, and not the good kind.
Who would have thought? Yeah, not the greatest of all time, but a survivor goat, which is
Yeah.
someone who goes to tribal council and doesn't get votes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Be interesting to see the Danny's Ponderosa video to see how the rest of the jury will react, if they'll say anything about how he acted, or how they felt about it.
Yeah, I think the jury's a bit disgruntled. They're all really wondering why Ricard is still there, and so nobody who's playing with Ricard is getting credit for any of their gameplay for whatever reason.
Yep. Ooh, that's got to really stick in Shan's craw, doesn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause all
That's
these
one of the
moves
stink
she
faces
made,
there.
and it's like,
That stink face wasn't something that we got to see a lot during the season. It might have been there, but they weren't showing us. But come tribal council time, when they cut to the jury when they're walking in, we got stink face from her twice now.
well, you don't read faces really well.
I don't.
No, because when I am confused and puzzled, you always think I'm angry.
Well, it's because your faces are the same. That doesn't mean that I can't read
But
faces.
I've told you for 30 years now that is my confused face. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, but
What?
they're the same.
Okay. Well, learn it.
Okay.
You're a slow learner.
Probst tells us that the final five are going to leave from tribal council. They're going to be taken to a new island. Your guess was it was the exile island that Erika went to. I don't know, but I guess that's probable. They'd certainly reuse
they
locations for a fresh start for a few days. So we got 2 more immunity challenges, 2 tribal councils, 1 fire making challenge there at final 4, and then 1 winner. So what do you think? Is your USB gonna pull it off? Is he gonna be able to explain himself well enough at the end as we head towards the finale next week?
I just don't know. He'd have to do an awful lot in the finale for me to think he had a chance at winning. So I don't know. It depends on what he does, but I'm kind of thinking not. I mean, nothing I can do about it now.
It seems like Xander's got a pretty clear shot at final 3. For sure, final 4. Final 4 is a given for him.
Well, that's a given, yeah.
Because he's still got his idol. So he just plays it the next time, the last time he can. Boom, he's done, he's in. As long as he he doesn't goof it in any way. And I don't see that happening. Yeah, I think he's played so conservative since the merge that nobody's gonna get in his head and spin him around on that.
No, I definitely think he has a chance.
And then let's just say that he doesn't win the immunity for the final 4. He's probably got fire making skills, so there's a good chance that he could make fire and be in.
Well, I hope everybody's been practicing fire.
Yet we know season after season that's absolutely not the case.
Well, we saw Heather doing it. There was some clip we saw Heather trying to make fire.
Her and
I
Ricard
think
were
I've
making
seen
fire in
Erika do it
this
too.
episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah, is that what it was? I knew I'd seen that.
Yes, you're right.
Wow,
Within the last hour.
the thing that well, you know how I am. The thing that you're so warm sitting here cuddled up on the love seat.
Are you squirreling?
That you make me you make me want to sleep because you're like a little heater.
Okay.
So I was losing my focus. But what I wanted to say
okay.
was, I don't know if anybody beats Ricard if he gets there.
Yeah,
I'd be hard pressed to give it to anybody else.
They'll give him a hard time with some tough
Sure.
questions.
Give him a hard time, but he still
He
got
probably
there.
wins if he gets there, yeah.
I would probably vote for him.
Given what we've seen, granted we haven't seen everything they have.
That's true. And it would depend on how well, but I think he would present himself very well. It
He does
almost
seem
be
to
as
stay-
though he could read a script.
He does seem to stay cool under fire. When Shan was
Yeah.
going at him, he seemed to manage himself really well and
Yeah.
not escalate. But you know she'll come back at him
Well, and my thought was
because
when
she got him through the first half of the game from what we've been shown.
well, according to Danny, who told everyone tonight that Ricard was the best player left in the game,
Right.
I'm like, well, aren't you just making a point for him to be the winner if he gets there?
Shan already said she was giving him her vote. I just think she'll make him earn it.
Yeah, she probably
She'll
will.
bust his chops if he's there a little bit. But I think
Well,
she'll
now
come,
that she
come
knows
through.
he's the one that really ousted her, she thought it was Liana that flipped the vote, but it wasn't. It was Ricard. But in her interviews, it doesn't sound like she held it against him. So, but we don't know what it was like before she left the island. So, okay. But anyway, I don't know how I could give it. Xander has a better resume than I thought he would have going in. We do see him making some decisions, but I still have that question in my mind. How much of it is he just lucked into it because there were people that they thought were bigger targets or easier to get out because
Right.
of the idol or
There's always
whatever.
that. Is it really you and what you did, or just because
You just kind of fumbled into this, or
someone was focused
what?
on another aspect and that allowed you to slide through?
To keep going through. You
Right.
know, they-
How much credit do you get
Yeah.
if you didn't get voted out
It's like
because
they
we were
kept-
focused on something else?
Yeah, putting him on the back burner. Well, we'll get him later. We'll get him later. We'll get him later. And so, yeah, I guess I'd want to know that. I can see from the last couple of weeks that, yeah, okay, he's in there talking and selling, but I still think some of the others are probably better with their negotiations.
Let's real quick recap the next time on Survivor for the final five.
Okey-dokey.
Xander said, "No food, no sleep, no problem. They'll be grumbling as I rise to the top."
Oh, I thought they said they'd be crumbling.
No, crumbling. Yeah, maybe. crumbling, whatever.
Yeah, that is a little different. I wouldn't blame them for grumbling, but because I remember that because I thought, well, that's pretty arrogant there, Xander. They're just going to drop like flies and you're going to sail right on to the top. But
I like the confidence.
Hey, good for you.
Erika
Go for it.
pulls a Captain Obvious and tells us that it's going to get intense at the end. Okay, yep, check.
So, and we don't know who Ricard is saying, do not let him get it. Now, we see Deshawn chasing Xander as best he can, but
Looking for something.
a lot of scrambling and broken promises, and Erika saying, I hate Deshawn.
That looked like, you said that looked like it was, she was talking to Ricard. They were out in the water talking,
Yeah,
right?
it looked like it. I didn't get to, I'll go back and look at it more
Now,
specifically.
what do you think is going on in that little blurb between Ricard and Xander, where Xander was reacting and saying, "No way"? What do you think?
I don't know.
Ricard was sharing. Was he sharing something personal about himself,
I
or was
doubt
it
that.
something about the game?
I would say game.
You don't think he would be trying to manipulate Xander a little bit?
I think he's been trying to manipulate Xander a little bit all the way through.
You should play your
So,
idol. You should play your idol. Yeah.
Well, he.
I'm saying that
has
was
to
a previous
play it
example
now.
of him manipulating him. Not,
Oh,
I wasn't
okay.
referring to now.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. I thought, well, he has to play it or just forfeit it.
I wonder if he's making something up that he's telling Xander to try to get Xander to have pity on him or something like that. Something devious.
I don't know. There
No
was
way.
not enough there for me
I know.
to
I'm
really
just speculating. Way out in left field.
have any clue. But anyway, Danny seems to feel okay.
Oh, yeah. He left like
left
a prince.
his best out
Yep.
there, and alrighty then.
Happy
He
with
didn't
how he
want to
played.
go, but okay. And he is so skinny.
Yeah, he's super
Oh
skinny
my
too.
goodness.
Yep. So Prope's plan definitely had an impact on starving them and making the
Yeah.
season harder because of that. How about a JSFL update?
I can do that. Congratulations to Tommy from Scotland, who is in first place with 55 points.
Ooh, surging ahead right at the end.
Yeah, he's got 5 more than me. Okay, with 21 people lost their USB. 51 people, congratulations, earned a vote-off point, and 146 of us lost a save point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Though I do have points for everybody still in the game.
Ah, nice.
For the final 5.
That worked.
So, yay. I at least have that, even though I lost it beforehand. Side challengers. With 50 points, Jeremiah and Rebecca are tied for first.
Nice.
48, Jay, Kindred, and Michael. With 47, Cold Mike and Randy. With 46, Parker. 45, Stacy. 43, Justin. And 42, Drew.
All right, there we have it. Exciting as we head into finale week. Well, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about this episode before the penultimate episode, before we wrap it up. See what you think about these final 5. What did you think about how everything went down in this episode, and who do you think are going to be the final 3 and who's going to win it all? We want to hear all that from you in our listener feedback show. You can call and leave a voicemail, 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio or just write it up in an email, quick text message, and send it to us at joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturdays. Please keep it within a 3-minute limit so we can get everybody in. We look forward to hearing your predictions before we head into the finale. Anything else?
Yes. I just have a lot to ponder before Saturday to think about what my order might be.
All right. Have a good one.